Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Scott Duffner.
Here.
Mark Carey.
Here.
Dan.
I have no suggested changes.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes. February 10th meeting.
Second. Okay, been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 10th, 2025 regular meeting. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Review of the bills. Does have any questions? All good, Mark? Okay. And hearing of individuals in the audience. Anybody have anything to say this evening?
Order, we want order. No more chaos.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger, for your input. We'll continue on with new business. 25-26 budget committee member.
Yes, we had a budget committee, a person apply for the budget committee. Remember, you have her application, I believe, Stacy Puckett. So I would just need to know if you would to approve her, appoint her to the budget board.
Okay.
And she would be filling Troy Hines' position. Correct. He stepped down.
So you want a motion, Dave?
Yes, sir.
I'll move that we appoint Stacy Puckett to the budget committee.
I'll second. Okay, been moved and seconded to appoint Stacy Puckett to the budget committee. Any questions, comments, ideas?
Do we have any other openings, or is that the only one?
That's the only one right now, but, you know, but I don't know that, is there a limit to?
I think we need just 5. So we have 5 and 5, so it's a balance between budget
So
committee and,
yeah,
yeah,
we have five.
yeah. And Roger's our other new. So we do have 2.
And Josie.
And Joseph.
Good. All those in favor? Motion carries. And teacher contract renewals.
Okay, you also have a list, probationary teacher contract renewals with the list of the first year to second year probationary teachers there. The second year to third year probationary teachers and the third probationary to contract teacher status. They're all divided up. I recommend that all of these teacher contracts, certified teachers be renewed for the upcoming year. You just need to make a motion to approve that. It's written in the bottom. You can do them all at once and while using the motion that is suggested at the bottom of the page, or you can do them by groups, however you want to do it. And to do those first, and then we'll move on to the second page.
Okay.
I would recommend doing the probationary separate because it moves Brian and Hannah to contract status. And then the next memo gives them a rolling contract.
Yeah, I said do the first page. These first, yes, and then the second, yeah.
Is there any concern with any of the staff members that we,
Not this time, no, not for this year. But remember, they have three years
Mhm.
to work here when they're on a probationary period. So either year 1, year 2, or year 3, they could be non-renewed. So, but for this year, no, I'm fine with all of them as they are.
Is Horton, that we quit last year once. Everything straightened out there.
Yes.
We've done evaluations on all these teachers.
They're in progress.
They're in progress, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Kim.
How many evaluations do we do a year? With
Uh,
teachers?
4 walk-ins, 2 with contract, and then if they're on cycle or probationary, it's 4 drop-ins and 2 formal lessons.
So the process going on is we're towards the end, we're doing the second walk-in or second official, I should say.
Yeah, and then just the final overall evaluation.
Gotcha.
And understand too, that in addition to those formal ones that we call the 4 and 2, there are lots of other just walk-ins, drop-in, talk conversations. That's what we record in our formal evaluation file for the teachers. 4 and then 2. So there are more conversations and more drop-ins that happen in addition to that.
Do we have a motion?
yeah, I guess we have to have a motion to discuss anything, so.
True.
I move that we renew the probationary first, second, and third year probationary contracts.
I'll second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded to renew the first, second, and third year probationary contracts for the 25-26 school year as presented. Any discussion? You're out?
I'm out.
Okay.
No responsibility for that.
All right, well, all those in favor? And all those opposed? Motion passes 3-1.
Thank you. And then on the second page, we have the contract teacher extensions. So these people are already contract teachers. You'll see the list of them there. And I recommend that we extend the teachers' contracts for the 25, 26, and 26, 27 school years because they are on a rolling contract. So.
Okay.
And you need the same, there's a motion down at the bottom if you choose to use it.
Yep, I'll make a motion to extend all the above contract teacher rolling contracts for the school year 25, 26, 26, 27 as presented.
I'll second that. So we've got a motion on the floor for, let's see here, how we can word that. Dwight worded it perfectly.
Right at the bottom.
Extend all the above contract teacher rolling contracts for the school years 25, 26 and 26, 27 as presented. All right,
Not much we can do about it anyhow.
well, any discussion?
for asking to vote.
One question I guess I would have is that
Sure.
have we, this looks like our whole staff,
Mhm.
has anybody, or is there any indication that we're gonna have anybody leave?
Not at this point.
Nobody said anything to me.
All right. Anything else? All those in favor?
Actually, a quick question. I know there's been lots of conversation, different meetings about, not that I've got anyone on this list that I'm concerned about this about, but being very difficult to dismiss anybody. So renewing contract, if you were, if there was somebody you didn't want to renew, I mean, is that an opportunity for dismissal or would you still be in a,
Within that first 3 years of probationary, we could not renew.
we're past the probationary with these other people?
Are
Right.
you talking about?
So if you
contract
don't-
teacher or probationary teacher?
No, the rolling
Contract.
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 That's
Or is it
difficult.
process?
So
Yeah.
whether we renew it or not,
Yeah. When they reach contract status, you really don't have any other option but to renew them unless they do something completely egregious that gives us cause to let them go.
When it reaches this point. this
Yes.
point,
yeah, not the
Yes.
first page.
It will.
Right.
If there is something, it will be apparent prior to the March 5th.
Right.
Okay.
I wouldn't be asking you or recommending them for renewal if there were any issues that I was concerned about or had any of them had any performance issues that deemed non-renewal.
But could you even take them off that list if that was the case?
If they did something completely egregious that warranted removing them from the staff, yes, but I don't at this time.
Right.
But that would be
Yeah.
a really,
That's a big deal,
Yeah,
really big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
that answers my hypothetical. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? And those opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. Right.
Now, on to the superintendent's report.
Okay. Okay, so superintendent's report, enrollment, you have the enrollment report. Oh, I have that. The enrollment report, we are at 218 currently for an average of 222 and a third kid. So we're just a couple kids below the 225, which is kind of the ballpark number I like to keep, but we're hanging right in there, not doing too bad. Okay. For this time of the year. Seems like we always tend to lose a few in the spring anyway. It's just our economy, or gain a few. So we've seen some fluctuation, but we kind of keep landing out about the same. Yeah, so I hope to gain a few more as in the next month or so. It would be nice.
That I see we gained a senior. Is that a person that's new to the area or?
No, so last month was an anomaly. That person should have been on there for last month. It's a postgraduate and we don't have any spot for postgraduate, so I keep forgetting that he's there in grade 13, 14, whatever.
Yep.
But, and so I take him off and then I go, oops, and put it back on.
Okay, then you have, we'll move to Monica for the monthly financial report. Gee, I didn't put Monica. Anyway, and then I also asked Monica to, when she discusses the financial report, if she wanted to say anything about the financial outlook, because she attends meetings, hears from people that I don't. We kind of compare notes all the time on that, so she'll share a few comments about that as well. Go ahead, Monica.
So, the budget was about the same. I kept it at the minus 233,000. We're not, as far as we know, we're not gonna get those federal forest fees for the share or those sales. And then you'll notice our current year's taxes are lower than what I had thought they would be at this point too. People aren't necessarily paying their taxes. So, hopefully that number goes up a little bit and gets us the billion, but for next year, the governor says she's gonna, she wants more money going to education. So her recommendation has increased the money going to education. But the last meeting that I was on, the guy from ODE, Mike Wilfong, he said that don't expect that. That's just what she recommends. That doesn't mean that's what the legislation is going to do, because if feds cut money to Medicaid, which is a lot of the funding for the Oregon Health Plan, the legislature might put a bunch of money into the Oregon Health Plan and take it away from education. So they have absolutely no idea, what they're going to do. So we're going to budget very conservatively. We're probably going to have to dip into some contingency with that budget. We're hoping, it's so, the thought is they're not going to know, is what they tell us, until the end of May, beginning of June. Well, we're going to have to approve our budget before then. So we'll approve our budget, and then whatever they come out with, we'll have to do a supplementary budget. And everybody in the state of Oregon's in the same boat. So we'll know more, I guess, once they know more. It's all up in the air. The money we're getting from federal is supposedly up in the air. And then everything from the state is all going to depend upon how the legislature decides to split the money and how much money they get cut from that. That's what I'm at.
Sounds like a maybe.
It is a huge maybe, so it's a lot of fun.
It's a good way to put it.
Is there any way to tell an indication on the May correction? If
Our May correction, the last estimate that they gave us, we're gonna get another $700.
woohoo,
I was happy to see it.
That's better than a negative though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, and that takes us to Barry.
All right, y'all, I might be jumping too far ahead, but we need to approve the water heaters.
Oh, yeah, it's right under there. You can do it
Okay.
right now if you want to.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Gail.
Oh, I do. It's right here.
Okay.
Do you want me to mention that, or do you want this paper?
If you want to, Gail, then I'll just hop in where,
Okay, so Barry needs to install a new water heater. I'll let him tell you about it. The total cost, we need your approval for this. It's $12,759.32 to be exact. It's from Severson Plumbing. He's talked to them. They've come out, they've taken a look. And yeah, $12,759. So with that, you can tell a little bit more
It's
about
the-
why we have to have it where it is. It's one out here, right? And
yep, it's probably it is the largest water heater we have.
And the
And the oldest, yes, it's from 1992 is the date on it,
Right.
so we had got our use out of it. But it supplies the kitchen and it has to be consistently at 160 degrees for the kitchen. And yeah, it's rusted, it's leaked through, it's probably full of sediment. The kitchen the last couple months, they've been complaining about a lot of like debris in their water. Well, it couldn't be coming from the cold water because everybody would have it because all of our water goes into storage tanks. It's got to be coming from that hot water heater. Brian from Severson came out and looked at it. He was honestly shocked that we were still using an original water heater to our school. So the price for it, I believe, was roughly over 9,000-10,000, somewhere in there. The rest is they have to update it, bring it to code. It has to have a pressure tank. There might have been a distance issue they were going to have to adjust. And it's all soldered fitting. So, and they'll take the old one and dispose of it. So I thought their quote was pretty fair. The price on the tank, if we get 30 years out of it, I guess that's not too bad. But that, like Gail said, that was one thing we did need you guys to approve of. Then I'll just hop in on the rest of my stuff and let you guys do that.
Before we move on, did we get any second bids on that, just for a video on it?
We didn't, because it took Severson roughly a week and a half, and I heard they were the quickest ones. And we need to get it done during spring break. If we don't, it goes out, school's out for 2, 3, 4 days, who knows,
Yeah.
And that's kind of why, when I noticed it, the timing was just perfect. We're super busy during spring break this year anyway, but we had talked about it. We're just afraid that if we were to reach out to too many other places, we would miss a window.
Yes, and I believe our policy allows us to do that in an emergency situation. We kind of consider this an emergency situation because we just have to have it. They came out,
Yeah.
gave us a quote, sounded reasonable, and so we just said, okay, yeah, let's just go with that, because it's hard to even find anybody to respond or.
Yeah, they were recommended by another guy that our school does business with from Juniper.
Yeah.
And he said they were very quick and prompt, and they were, like I said, it still took them a little over a week, but they actually came out here. So many places you call, once they figure out where you're at, they're not even interested. So, but yeah, no, it was something we considered. We were just afraid we weren't gonna have time.
And you kind of wanted to get on his schedule too, Barry, for
Yes,
spring
yes,
break
they
and,
still have to get it from Portland.
Right.
That's why tomorrow was really one of our last days for them to hit their window and make it here by spring break.
Mhm,
And who knows with anybody else.
right. Because one thing we can't have is that water heater going completely out. We're kind of on
Yeah,
borrowed time right
And
now.
it is, when he was here looking at it, the main thing that caught our, besides the rust, is it gurgles a lot. And he said that it's just cold sediment. And he said he didn't know how long. He was shocked it was still working, but he didn't think it was something we needed to do tomorrow. He said it is getting to this point. Like I said, it's already plugging up lines. It's already creating an issue. It just hasn't went out yet. It's still kicking out hot water.
So Barry, this
So-
one, as far as quality, this is, I'm guessing, commercial, like it's a
Yep.
good quality.
We're basically replacing it with the exact same one that's there.
That's what I
And
thought you
the guy from Stevenson said that it's A.O. Smith's the brand, and he would suggest replacing it with the exact same.
Right. I thought you said that. Just wanted to check.
Sounds good. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, do we want to go, just the way these things go, we want to throw a little extra approval on it just in case Severson comes back and is $500 over their bid and we don't have to talk about it again?
That seems
That
reasonable.
works for me. You think,
Just say
Bid.
13.
13,000.
would there be any other reason why they might go over? Do we need to do more than 500, or do you think that's sufficient?
I would think 500.
Okay,
I would just say to approve the bid plus any associated costs.
you could do that and not put a number on it if you want to.
I move that we approve the bid for the replacement of a water heater in the kitchen for the cost of replacement.
Sounds good.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been moved and seconded to approve the bid for the water heater at the cost of replacement. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Perfect.
Motion carries. Get us hot water, please. Or keep us hot water. please.
Yeah, the dishes will be sanitary. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Besides that, basically the last month and a half, we've been working a lot on just what we are gonna do over spring break. That was kind of a wrench in spring break, but we're pretty busy. Jason will be here Friday before spring break, or Friday spring break starts, however you'd like to look at that. They're gonna put in the new dust collector, start on that. Jason was hoping to get here before now, but once winter hit, he just couldn't send that many of his guys out to do it. So that'll be done. If Woman and Sweeney, they're gonna come out, they're gonna do attendance in the wrestling room. Rebuild our backflow of the pump house. And they will pressure test our whole system then, just to make sure we don't have any significant leaks. Severson will be out here. And Daryl's gonna start on the floors, and then we have a ton of outside work. We're hoping the weather will allow us to get the work on. Then the greenhouse. We had Bob was out Thursday, they're out today. We've been really fighting that heater. There's a little conflict over whether the contractor was the one that was gonna do it. We thought everything was ready. Staub thought everything was ready. Come to find out, it wasn't vented. We had assumed or thought it was a ventless. After some research, I guess the ventless really isn't the way to go. Because the gases are still in the greenhouse with kids, with plants will absorb them. So us having a vented heater in there is probably the correct way to do it. But stops, those guys, they're able to get everything hooked up. We tried firing it twice, it would fire, but then would die. They're guessing the circuit board's bad. I called Jason, I haven't heard back from him. But maybe have him come out and see if they have a way to test the circuit board to see if it is bad, because you can mess with it and get it to work, it's just not holding power, it's just not staying running.
Shoot.
It'll flash like a red or a green code that says circuit board malfunction or no call for heat, which it's calling for heat, it's just not giving it. So hopefully Jason will be able to figure it out. But after that, we'll have our final inspection and hope to be able to have people get back into the greenhouse, or get into the greenhouse.
Thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. I'm sorry, we're still fighting it.
It's been kind of problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been frustrating. That's all I got for you guys.
Okay,
Is,
Thank you.
Sorry, is spring break gonna be when you do the track runways or?
I'm hoping to actually start on that before. We have the material here. It's just, we would like to get it laid out and in the sun, and haven't had a whole lot of sun. I think we had 2 days where we could get it to lay out. I talked with Scott and kind of have an idea of where he wants them. And the boards were somewhat of an issue, the jump boards, because you either go over the top. That one suggestion was just run the runway over the top of them and paint where the boards were. Scott didn't think that would work that well at all, or they help with grip, they help with take off. So I think what we're gonna end up doing is probably cutting a piece of old. We have it for like the football players, right? It's the same material as that front material. We'll cut 2 pieces of that and put it under the board, so it should lift it up to that relative height. So then it's just the new runway material, that board, and you're jumping. So, but yeah, hopefully the weather will hold out and we'll be able to get to it. I'd like to get to it next week. And it shouldn't take very long. Once we can get it laid out, get it flat, it shouldn't take a day. But that'll be done.
okay.
April, because it's snowing next week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, sleepy small season, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? Shoot. Okay.
All right, thank you, Barry.
You're welcome.
And Jubal.
We definitely traveled and got students back and forth to school and got them to a couple of different sporting events. We have kind of leveled off on our total miles that we put on our vehicles for the last 2 months. I was just checking on that. We're within 200 miles of what we were from last month. So that's kind of nice that we can even out even with some sporting trips. We were pretty close to January. But yeah, that was pretty much all that we did. We haven't had too many updates with our buses. I did forget to remove one of the updates on bus 22 from last month. But yeah, all vehicles seem to be operating well and together.
Get the circuit board issue fixed.
So those ones, they have them on order. It seems to be a very common issue. We haven't had any issues with them since it hasn't gotten down to 4 degrees since then. But yeah, they have them on order and he'll be coming out and doing a warranty repair on those whenever he gets them. He's based out of Klamath Falls, and so he comes over pretty quickly.
Are we, the only reason I bring this up is because Kaylee and I were talking about the other day, we're on an oil dry where it was minimal, but first student used to send us a check every quarter, maybe, I don't know, you send us a check every quarter. I just wasn't sure if we were still doing that or that's in, okay, I wasn't, my concern was we just completely forgot about it.
We did too, and it was just kind of an autopilot thing. Joe used to come in and tell me, okay, it's time to send the checks. Glenna did the same thing. Okay, it's time to send the checks. Jubal didn't know what he didn't know. And so, yeah, when she said it, I was like, oh, yeah.
Or alternatively, are there any of those routes that we can start sending buses down? If we're
Not anymore. before we went to just the straightforward bus routes, we probably could have. I think the downfall side to that is that your guys' stop would be one of the very first in the morning. Just kind of the way.
Yeah, I wasn't just saying us in particular, I just mean any route that people are getting, I mean. Obviously, it would be great, but I'm not just concerned about my route, I'm thinking more the entire district. Are there, I don't know how many routes we're paying mileage on. Or if there's anything we can put a
There's about 8.
plan in place, gotcha, so it's minimal, never mind.
It's minimal.
And I think a couple of those, we just can't get out there anyways. It's the gravel roads there is where it's out at. Can't travel down there and get them.
Gotcha.
That it, Jubal?
I believe so.
All right, thank you. Mr. Missile.
Yes, okay. Start track March 3rd. And as of today, we have 7 boys and 8 girls, but there's more kids coming out because they're finishing up going, they're gonna go to Mexico on trips, so we'll have some more kids out by the end when they get back. We have an assistant coach position posted and no one's applied for it yet. So they need to apply and get the applications in, 1 coach. Our first track meet is March 20th at Crook County. And that'll be an icebreaker. That's what it's called, the icebreaker meet. And hopefully that will get going. Winter GPAs. The boys basketball team didn't have enough GPAs to qualify, but their GPA, who I can get them from, average was 3.69. Girls basketball was 3.73, and then the wrestling was 3.35, and they were in the top 10. And there was only 10 wrestling teams anyway, too. That's all there was. The new 35-second clocks have arrived and will be installed sometime between now and the summer or before the season begins. And that's about it right now. There's hopefully no more snow.
Okay, thank you. Cameron. Oh, sorry.
Are those new clocks gonna be tied in with the?
Yes, they will be with, yeah. Well, I'm gone. I hope so.
Yeah, because we need you to sit there.
Yeah, I know. I was
Getting it.
Oh, yeah.
So looking back, February 21st, we had a PD day. We had several different training sessions going on that day. Fortune presented our annual SBAC training for the staff that will be a part of those tests. A dozen people were trained on the Medicaid reimbursement process provided by the Lake ESD. As part of the early literacy, the elementary staff continued working with Amy Fortune and Lindsley Gehrig. The Paisley staff also attended that training. 7 to 12 staff gave the students a 4-question survey. We reviewed the results of that survey. The questions were, what are some of your attendance barriers? Illness, weather, and transportation were kind of the big ones that popped up. Nothing that we were or weren't doing. Asked what they liked about our school. Barry's crew got clean school was one of the top ones, kind staff, sports activities, and then a thing we needed to improve, more electives was kind of one of the bigger ones on that. Which we can only do what we can do on that, but it would be nice to get them some more. Middle school, high school attendance for the month was between 82 and 85%. Or 82 for the month and 85 for the year. Elementary is at 88 for both. Jan and I have been kind of looking through the master schedule, trying to see if we can start piecemealing that together. During the homeroom last week, the 7-12 delivered some information on bullying harassment prevention for the 7 through 12. Talking about the GPA, kind of looked, and the OSA hasn't updated the OSA Cup standings, but kind of looking through their point score with what we have currently would have put us in the top 15 based on last year's scores. But still with track and spring to go. Elementary had Dr. Seuss week last week. FFA State Convention is coming up March 20th to the 23rd. That's all I've got.
Cameron's question, backing up to that survey,
Yeah,
mentioned more electives. Was there a certain, did they say a certain type of elective or?
a couple had said music and art, which we'd love to
Yeah.
offer them, but it's tough to get anybody that is a
I
music.
mean, something to keep
No, definitely.
in front of us, so.
Yeah, so it'd be great to get somebody who had that in the back pocket to be able to do.
We're always looking for somebody
Yeah,
with music and art, but most people don't do that anymore because most teachers don't hire music and art anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but it's a kind of reality. So they're pretty few and far between, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, even if we could, with budget
Yeah.
situations coming
Yeah.
up, maybe not the year to be working with that.
I just would hope that it'd be a bonus if somebody who was applying for another job was also qualified in that, and they could maybe do a little
Yeah.
both, but we just never find that person, so, yeah. Anyway. Anything else?
that's it.
Okay,
So is our art room completely just basically unutilized then?
Hannah is currently using it for FFA because that and ag, because it has that outside exit to the greenhouse to the shop.
Gotcha.
So if they're going back and forth.
and she has windows on that corner so she can supervise, and she has her flower cooler, her range in one of those little rooms there.
Mhm.
So that's pretty handy for her too.
Like where the kiln is.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. All right, so if we move on to personnel human resources, number 1, you had sent to you a resignation from Candy Wagner. So you don't need to approve this because it's a classified staff member, but I'm just letting you know that she did in fact turn in a resignation. This has been, she kind of explains it in the letter, so you can read that, but this has kind of been on her plan for the whole entire year. She knew at the beginning of the year, this is probably what she was gonna do, so it didn't really come as a surprise, so anyway, there's that. Then the other staff member situation is a termination of the bus driver Joshua Burke. And because these are personnel issues, you guys know I can't discuss them or talk about them, and you don't need to do anything with that one either. In terms of accepting it, that's not your job. I'm just announcing to you that that was a personnel decision that was made and handled. If we move to confidential, I have nothing to report there. Certified, the ag position was discussed at the ag advisory meeting, which was just held last Thursday. And the committee still wishes to fill this position with a certified teacher if at all possible, so we're posting it as such. But because we all understand the advantages of a teacher, a certified teacher, that's really what we would prefer to have. But we also discussed other options, including the utilization of industry professionals on a part-time basis, especially until we find someone else, if we do. And we also discussed the option of reverting back to a one-person ag teacher program at this time and alternating courses every other year so we don't have to lose courses altogether. That was one thing we talked about. At this time, though, we're still looking for a teacher and we'll continue to do so for a little bit. And we are, though, considering CTE in there somewhere, but we really would like to find a teacher, but we may have to go combination CTE. Scott and Janet were there. If you guys want to chime in on anything, share anything I missed, kind of tried to summarize our conversation, but did I miss anything, Scott?
That pretty well covers it.
Mhm. So just to kind of keep you up what's going on, because that's a vacant position that we had. None of us really want to lose any programs like the ag in the classroom, or we really don't want to go to the every other year option either, but we might have to, depending on who we can find and what qualifications they have. As far as administrative, this is superintendent contract language analysis. You guys remember when we had our conversations about the superintendent evaluation tool, I told you then that I was going to send in the superintendent contract as well and have it evaluated for accuracy, compliance with the law, all of that. I did do that. That's what this conversation is about. So you have that there. And let me just explain, let me get it pulled up here. I think I have what he wrote. Let me just scroll down just a sec. Okay, so I just took my name out of this, all of that, everything. This is just like a blank template. Kind of did it like our policies where the new language is in gray. And then I also did strikeouts. So you could see where old language was removed and new language was inserted based on Rob Saxon's recommendations. And I can read you a little bit of the narrative if you have questions about it. The first part, there aren't any changes that he suggests until we get down to section 1, the term. And the only thing that he said there is that you can do as much as 3 years. And I know you guys know that, and it's kind of put in there too, because it says the agreement shall be for a period of 2 years, but you can add an additional 1 year. All he was saying is that if you want to, you can just put, most Oregon superintendent contracts have just 3 years stated there, not 2 and then 1. But that's entirely up to you guys how you want to do that. These are just his suggestions. And he's also said we prefer a rolling contract, one with language allowing the automatic extension of another year each year, but it's not that big of a deal. We kind of have that already in a sense. Okay, then if we go on to the next top of the next page where it says discharge for cause, here were his comments. He said he doesn't even know what the word material breach even really means. And this guy has, well, he's been a superintendent for, I don't know, probably 40 years, and now he's a consultant and he does all this. So he really understands this. He doesn't even really know what it means. And he said his comments were, honestly, I'm not precisely sure what material breach constitutes. Most contracts say something like shall be for conduct similar to that given for a cause to terminate a licensed teacher, so that it just matches up and that makes more sense. So he suggested that we make that change. So I wrote that in there to show you if we did do that, that's how it would read. Okay. Then if you go down to the section 3, no cause termination part. His comment was, this is an area where the contract is unacceptable. Oregon law currently encourages, may require, the law seems to have some ambiguity, 12 months of payment for a no cause termination. He says he highly recommends, insist was the word, that you change the length of payment from, we've got 6 months, it needs to go to 12 months or 18 months. Most of Oregon districts have 12. And 12 is fine, but you can go even like 18, and some are 18 as well. But 6 is not in compliance with the current law. Then the rest of it seems fine until you get to, let's see. Section 8, evaluation, like at the bottom of page 3. That's just a slight change because in the original document that was a standalone section. It didn't have a section number attached to it. It had section 7 superintendent's license, then it just said evaluation slid in there, and then it had section 8 work year vacation. So I just renumbered to give that a number. He just happened to notice that. I never noticed that before. So then if you go to the salary, let's see, you didn't have anything there. Salary, I just took that out because that should be left blank in any template. So that was that. When we got to the fringe benefits, talked about insurance, there wasn't any problem there. Comments. Oh, one thing he did, he liked the language on providing the same insurance as the other employees in the district. And I think this was the one where he said there wasn't anything about PERS. Somewhere there was nothing about, let's see where I put that. Anyway, and then also in this section, oh yeah, section 9 salary, he said, this is important. I don't see any language in the contract about PERS. And you do pay that, it's just not included in this. I never noticed that either. So we need to include that language. So we need to add that in there because that is something that you're doing. Just got left out somehow. And that would be in the salary section. Then if you go to, and I think I even forgot to put that in there, it's just in my notes. Sick leave. The fringe benefits, that's a whole other section, same medical, dental. We need to add PERS in there. Sick leave was just sticking in there all by itself. And it needs to go down underneath all of this. Because that's kind of a fringe benefit. It doesn't need to be a separate section by itself. It's a benefit. Disability of the superintendent, he had no comments there. Typical language, section 12, membership dues, good language. Section 13, professional liability, that's fine. And then he got to section 14 where it said extension of agreement. He said, again, he would ask that you consider to put a 3-year contract rather than a 2. And then the only other thing was kind of a big deal at the very bottom. That big gray paragraph, indemnification, that wasn't in there either. And he said missing. I did not see anything in the contract about indemnification. Usually contracts say that the district will indemnify the superintendent in case of a loss. You should add that. And so I just went to other contracts and I found just kind of very generic indemnification language and I added it in there. Can it be something different? Yes, but I felt that this was pretty standard language. So I put that in there just so you'd have an idea of what he was talking about. Okay, and that was it. Questions about any of those changes? I felt it was pretty thorough and decent review myself. The only thing I think I left out was adding the PERS language in there.
Well, from the bottom, right off the indemnification under number 14 on the professional liability. Right in that first sentence, the second line is in the words used even to indemnify superintendent.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So
Do you
I'm
think
not
that's
sure that-
okay to keep that? Let's see. 'Cause he wrote-
Personally, I do, but I'm not a lawyer. so-
Yeah, I know. Well, let me see what he wrote. 14. Well, it's different now, professional liability. Yeah, you're up fine on that. So maybe he just missed it. I bet he did. Well, if you're okay with that, then that's okay with me too.
I think we
Because I missed it too. I just was skipping around looking at what he was doing.
strike the number
Nope,
18.
that's fine. Strike number 18 then. Okay, good. Good catch, Scott. Anything else you notice? And add the PERS, right?
Yeah, that needs to be added.
And that was under
Probably go under salary number 10.
salary 10. Yep.
If 12 months is the in the no cost termination, if 12 months is what's required by law, I think we probably do 12 months. I wouldn't want to, just in case we were to find ourselves in that situation, I wouldn't want to have a policy that we have to spend an extra 6 months of salary for some reason.
Yeah.
We'd go with whatever minimum is.
Agreed.
Yeah, can we, is that a question we need to ask our lawyer? Because I know Rob's not a lawyer, so.
No, he's not a lawyer, but he just does this work all the time. And that's what's he said required by law, although he said there was, I never said that. He said it's unacceptable. Oregon law currently may require, the law seems to have some ambiguity, 12-month payment for a no cost termination. I would insist they change the length of payment from 6 to 12. The only thing better would be even say 18 months. Most Oregon districts are either at 12 months or don't have any no cause language at all. So that's the other option, take it out if you want. Both are acceptable options. Very few districts are at less than 12 months and are likely out of compliance with Oregon law if they are less than 12 months.
Sounds like he's not sure.
Well,
Or
it's
the time.
because I think there's a little bit of ambiguity in the law, but nobody's banking on that. They're all going with either 12 or they're taking it out altogether, is
Right.
basically what he's saying. Because the way I read that is if you have 6 months or anything less than there, it's probably not gonna
Potentially.
serve you well, yeah, potentially. So,
But if it's a question that we're concerned with, running it by our lawyer is not about it.
Yeah, I'd run it by the lawyer. I don't like the idea of removing it. If it's a contract we're gonna use in perpetuity for, you never know what the situation you're gonna run into 10, 15 years from now. If there's a reason that you needed to terminate, then you need to have that option available in the contract. We should make sure that whatever option we have the option to use is legal.
okay, so you want me to call legal about that?
Please.
Sure. Anything else?
I'm not, no, I think we already covered the term or the length of contract.
Yeah, I prefer to leave it at the 2-year
Agreed.
two-
with the ability to add a third.
Yeah, because you have an ability to add another year there if you choose to, which is the same thing as I see it. Don't you guys see it that
Yeah.
way? Is that how
Yeah.
you-
I understand as a superintendent where you prefer to have a 3-year, but as a board, I prefer
2 years. good.
exit strategy options if they become necessary. And you hope you don't need them, but
Right,
if you don't need them, then the contract shouldn't be a concern.
yeah. Well, and if you left it at 2, and then you could extend it yet for another year. That's essentially the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then at the
so you
very
have-
bottom under
You would just
section
leave that as
15,
2.
it would state 2 years in section. It's either 15 or 14 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm reading it to say, this agreement shall be for a period of 2 years commencing the first day, The board reserves the option to extend this employment contract for up to 1 additional year. You good with that? Okay.
Yeah, that's at the beginning and at the bottom, the 15 extension of agreement. Oh, I guess that's
Well, let me look. It's-
not to be extended beyond a term of 3 years.
Yeah, you can't do it more than 3.
If you have the option to extend it, you probably need that to read.
Yeah, you do, because if you did extend it 3 years, then that covers you, because you can't go more than that. Okay,
Because it was written at 2.
right, but for real, I mean, the real lie is you can't extend it more than 3. You can extend it more than 2, but you can't extend it more than 3. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, all right. All right, so we have that figured out.
The last piece in there that I don't think we've talked about yet is the discharge for cause language.
Which section is that?
The section 2, I think is.
Oh, yeah, on the first page. Okay.
I don't know if I like that is similar to given for cause to terminate a licensed teacher. Do we have a
It's gonna be a standard.
description for what that cause would look like?
Oh, and then that brings up the question of after a 3-year contract, are we looking at pretty well that person's,
Because it's not
Ingrained.
the same.
it's not the same position.
I mean, I get what's a material breach, you could just say breach of contract.
Okay, how about if I'm gonna call the attorney about section 3, you want me to ask him about section 2, like give us a language, give us proposed language for that?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Would that work?
I just want to put ourselves in a situation where essentially we can't ever do anything if we need to.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Which is the situation
That's-
that
that's
is
where you go.
where we're at with a licensed teacher, which is what makes me nervous about that.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
the superintendents have a no cause as well.
That's true.
And they're at will, you guys
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
but this is kind of like watering that down. It feels like, as I read it.
Well, if we're going from 6 to 18 months on the no cost, it's, you've lost pretty much any power this board has.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me-
Person, it's gonna cost you $200,000.
It will, it costs a lot of money. Let me get, since I'm gonna call on that, I'll ask about section 2 and section 3. Have them give me more details. Was there anything else? Let's see. Salary just is what it is. I just took it out blank because you guys really are, what you said, Preston, you really are doing this as a contract template to use for as long as you want to,
Right.
until you decide it no longer fits or laws have changed. That would be the only reason to do it, redo it again.
Should we just send the entire, just to make sure, should we just send the entire contract and even with the notes from, I forget his name,
Rob Saxton.
from Rob
Mhm.
to our lawyer and say, hey, can you review this as well to make sure that we're
Sure,
getting a second opinion or we're in compliance? I mean, I know he's gonna charge us $300 an hour, but
if that's worth it to you, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, because I got something else on page 3 that's not part of Rob's review, but I don't think we're in compliance.
What is that, Dan?
Under, I guess it's section 5, I'm looking at the old, well, the copy you gave us, so section 5. It's on page 3.
Mhm.
The third real paragraph there, the board collectively, that paragraph. If you get down towards the middle, it talks about the superintendent shall have the right to attend all board meetings and all board citizen committee meetings, except executive sessions held to discuss the superintendent's employment status. And the way I read the executive session, that's not true. The
Yeah.
superintendent has the right to be in that.
Yeah, they generally have the right to be there.
Well,
So,
anybody does, really, any employee.
so I'm guessing
Yeah.
that's old language that's no longer acceptable with state law. I don't know, but
Okay,
that paragraph needs to be looked at. And then just minor thing up above it, that little 2-sentence paragraph there about, those are specific goals that nothing else in here talks about. The superintendent shall assure that all district employees are evaluated and maintain proper community relations. So I was really kind of surprised that was that specific. And those to me are like performance goals. And
it's kind of odd language for here too.
we
And this-
don't have any performance goals tied to the contract, so.
No, and his comments under this duties, this is in the duties section. He said typical and acceptable language.
Yeah.
He didn't give us any suggestions for change. He didn't seem to find anything wrong with it, so.
Yeah, I don't, since we're opening it up.
Yeah,
that's what
sure.
I Looked at, because
Okay.
to me, those would be listed on our policy for the duties of the superintendent. And that's what they're talking about with material breach of that policy in the duties, so.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna send it in, yeah, and I can point out to him, I'm circling everything, marking everything to ask, look at those things. And I can actually send Rob's comments along with it too and say, here's what he said. And have him review that. You guys want-
I think that'd be great.
When you're willing to pay the bill,
Pay that bill.
pay that bill.
Make sure that we're compliant with current law. That's probably.
Might be cheaper than the
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know when the last time you've really had this reviewed for compliance with the laws. They do change. I don't know.
You've been doing this for 16 years. When was the last time it was
Yeah, I don't.
It's been a while.
remember.
it's been a while.
So it's your fault.
Just always worked.
Yeah, that holds up in court. It just always worked.
Okay,
Skip.
got that. I'm just making a big note here, so I don't forget about that. Okay, so do you guys want to just set that aside then, till we get that done?
Yeah, let's get some
Yeah.
clarification with that, please.
Okay. So we are back to. Sorry to make all my notes here. Okay, so the VP position, 2 versus 3. Conversation before, but we've had that posted for a bit now. And we've had 1 applicant for each of the positions, 1 for VPAD, 1 for VP Special Programs. However, neither one of those applicants were qualified for the positions. They just applied for them, but they were not qualified for them. So we really are at 0 for those. So as the year goes on, we're thinking about this. Cameron and I have talked. And I just want you guys to be thinking of this because we're, I don't know, it's middle of March and I'm just starting to think about this a lot. Like, what if we don't find someone? So we're making a contingency plan in the event that we don't find a qualified candidate really by the end of April, because honestly, work on next year from the AD position has already started. Cameron's already started on that. Schedules are already being made. That's just how you roll with that. So I don't want to wait too long because by then Cameron and Tracy and I will have done a bunch of the work by then. So here's how some thoughts just to think about. Because we feel it's vital to keep the AD, I'm just going to kind of go down through the list. An administrative position, we feel very strongly about that. If we have to, then we would just return to a 2-person admin team. If we don't find another admin, well, then it's just Cameron and me again, as it was before we found Jim. So then Mr. Mitchum would then assume the role of AD, and his official title would then be K-12 principal / AD. I would be superintendent / special ed director and assistant AD, because I told him I've never been an AD before, but I'll do whatever he tells me to do, whatever he needs me to do. Stay at the games, I'll help, I'll set up, I'll do whatever I need to do, because that's going to be a load. And I'll do whatever. We would then divide the remaining administrative duties in a fair and equitable manner between us, depending on what we can do, looking at time, skills, flow, efficiency, all of that. And we've already talked about this, so this is nothing new to Cameron. Tracy has agreed to continue to be the athletic secretary, but she would just do a little more of that, help a little bit more with, and then we've asked her to in the past couple of years since Jim joined us. But she's real good at that. She knows what she's doing. We would request, though, this is where I want you to understand, this is a consideration. Because we're taking on another job, we're splitting it in half, so Cameron's and my workload increases by about 50%, if you want to look at it that way, or maybe 40. Tracy takes a little bit, then we would have to be paid more to do that, because we're going to be staying umpteen hours, after school, weekends, whatever, all the time. And we're willing to do it, at least give it a try for a year if we can't find anybody, because both of us believe that strongly, that AD position needs to be an admin position because of liability, because of experience, history, organization. Coaching and sports are one of the biggest risks, legal liability risks for schools. We're just not willing to take that and just hand that over to anybody who hasn't had any experience with that. I feel it's that important in the district. Cameron does too. So we're willing to take on that, but we're going to have to be compensated for it, because it's really going to run our lives for the next year if that's what we do. But we're both committed to that because we're committed to the program. I just want you to understand that. And the safety of the district. I do not ever want to have a lawsuit on my hands. I just don't. That's just a thing I have. And so we'll figure that out later, but I just want you to know that's a possibility. And Tracy would have to have some extra compensation as well. And just that we are willing to do that, all 3 of us, for a year, and we'll stop and evaluate how we're going to handle it from there. Maybe that'll give us a chance to find somebody if we don't between now and about the end of April. And since we're halfway through March and we'll be at the middle of April, the next time we have a board meeting, I just wanted to tell you that's kind of where we are with that right now, so you all understood where we were. And gather any thoughts that you have, anything like that. Cameron can certainly speak to this. So willing to take your thoughts or comments on that, or Cameron, maybe you should add anything first you want to. If you have anything else to mention.
No, I think you covered most of it. I mean, just it'll be a lot of nights and weekends, and especially with middle school, high school, both.
Yep. And kids in the summer,
Kids in the summer. Yeah.
that's the other thing. So what are you guys thinking? Any thoughts on that? Are we completely off base? Do you understand where we're coming from or where we might have to go with this? I just don't want you to be surprised.
What is the allocation for the athletic director?
Monica, allocation for the athletic director, Janet, it's a,
Jim right now is getting 10,000.
yeah, but his whole salary is, because we also have to be doing his other job too. All the principal VP stuff, so we have to take on everything he's doing and do that, divide that up between us as well. So it's not just all AD stuff. It's just all mixed in with everything else.
Jim currently saves them a lot of time as that
Boatloads.
person that they call.
Yeah.
So that every parent issue, student issue, whatever is not going immediately to them first.
Mhm.
Jim kind of runs interference for pulling kids out of classrooms.
Talking to the teachers, calling parents, all that stuff. He does that all the time. So he
That's
takes a lot
mostly
of her
his day.
Yeah.
Is running interference for teachers.
And as far as the other big thing as I see it is Cameron would then no longer then be able to do all of the evaluations like he's doing now. We probably have to split those. I probably have to take half of those back. That's a huge job. You guys asked about the evaluations. That is a huge chunk of our time too. Because that's what Dave and I used to do. We would split them up because there were just two of us then. And that's what we did, half and half. And we kind of divided them so we had like an equal number. Because it doesn't come out fair if you go high school, middle school, elementary, we divided the others up. We had like an equal number of people and that worked for us. But Dave also wasn't or either one of us was the athletic director at the time either. So we're taking all of that on too. So it's just going to be huge, I can tell you, because Jim saves us a ton of time and yeah, there's just a lot. Remember that big color chart I gave you with all the color squares? Okay, everything that's Jim, we had to slide over to us.
Has there been something changed law, like with regulations? We haven't always had an administrator be a superintendent. I think Jim might be the first administrator that we've had be superintendent. So.
Or athletic
Sorry,
director.
Yes, the first administrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, athletic director. So what's the reason now for to just be adamant that it has to be admins if you guys are already gonna have potentially a full workload taking over VP stuff? I'm just curious what the reason for that is.
Well, the big reason for me is the liability issue. Too much monkey business happens on trips. It just does. And right now, coaches and sports are the biggest, and special education are the two biggest areas where lawsuits are filed, where you're going to lose money as a district or get a chance of being in a lawsuit. It's just that huge. And it has been that way for years. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. You've got overnight trips, you've got motel rooms, you've got supervision of kids, all that sort of thing. Supervision of staff, it's a huge deal. And I trust him. He's done it before. He knows what he's doing. He's good with kids.
One administrator can't evaluate coaches either.
Right.
So then I'd have,
Still have
even if I
to,
wasn't doing it, I'd have
So
to
if you
be
involve the
evaluations.
yeah. It's almost easier to do it and know what you're doing, then you can do it along the way, gather information or whatever. And he's here right now, and we've already started on next year, trying to get a head start on it because we know Jim's not going to be here. So it's already in progress next year. That's why we're kind of looking ahead, thinking, well, golly, you just don't wait till August to start, because we've got all our little kid programs coming during the summer, which are awesome. I love having all that stuff. This place is a going deal because I'm always here for summer school during June, July. It's busy every day in here. I mean, the volleyball girls are always down there in that gym. There's people all over this place in the summertime. So to me, it's just important.
I just don't, I guess maybe the piece I'm missing, how is one of you being the AD giving us any less liability than having somebody else in the building be AD.
More training, more understanding of the law, more knowledge of the law.
But you just admitted that you've never done it. and
No, no,
don't know
but-
what you're doing with it.
Well, as an AD, but I know darn good and well what I'm doing in terms of liability for kids. And, you know, when you're doing stuff,
Okay.
making plans, taking trips, I get all that. And where all the pitfalls are. It's just I haven't done work schedules with other schools and things like that.
That's more the secretary piece of it anyways, I guess, the schedule.
Part of it, because Cameron and Tracy have been talking about schedules and, yeah. Although what Jim has done though is he's the one that stayed. You mostly made the schedules, you just kind of
You made the
confirmed with
schedules
Tracy,
call.
but he does most of the scheduling with the other schools. And that's hard because I think you asked about what's gotten harder. I think part of that is our schools are always teetering on the edge of, do we have enough? Do we not have enough? And that's what has made it difficult with Jim is he's got a game and then, oh, they lose a couple kids, now they don't have enough to play or that sort of thing. Am I correct about that, Jim? Or
Yep.
Cameron?
Yeah, or the OSA will give us our final decision on what our leagues are gonna be, and then August meeting, they'll change it. So you've had a schedule set and ready, and then
Mhm.
2 teams leave and 1 comes in, and now you're scrambling to.
It's just like middle school. Middle school's the worst because they start, well, let's start September 1st and let's figure out volleyball schedule. Come on. We're already in school. Kids are already practicing. Let's have the schedule before then. Let's do it before then. Or right now, I don't have any middle school track schedule yet. I got 1 meets here and I'm hoping Gilcrest will have a meet and that's what I'm waiting to hear back on. I got 2 meets so far. I'm just really disappointed. In the middle school, it's getting a lot of work with middle school.
So at the risk of being out of line, I guess I'm gonna ask Jim, how many phone calls do you end up dealing with, like, on average daily with the?
With scheduling,
Yeah, related to athletic stuff.
well, I get about 10 to 15. It depends on when we are and what season we're in.
Right,
And
right.
what you're more or less, right now, the most that I've had is probably during volleyball and basketball.
Mhm.
This year was basketball. Wrestling went pretty good. Those 2 are the biggest. So, and it's middle school too. And
Right.
you get a lot of calls about middle school.
We don't have to like decide this right now. I'm just throwing this out because it's kind of a big deal and I want to keep you guys informed of what's going on.
Besides interference, what other specific responsibilities is in that?
With the athletic director,
No,
The VP.
The VP.
I go into all classrooms. And that's and I report back to them, hey, I see so-and-so's doing a great job of doing this, or I see this or that. I go in, I do grade checks, tell the kids, hey, and it's just not athletes, it's the regular students, like I'm doing right now, I'm doing the regular students too, that aren't playing, and we say, hey, what's going on here? And then I deal with the kids with discipline, minor discipline, or it's more of a preventive atmosphere when I go in, because maybe I can stop something before it does get started.
It's more of a dean of students almost.
Yeah. I mean, I'm around, I'm around everybody and see everything. And I report back to these guys, hey, I saw this, or this is going on, heads up, or they will do the same thing too. When I go down to the elementary, same type of thing. I walk into everybody's classroom,
Talk to the teachers, you make a lot of parent phone calls.
make a lot of phone calls. I take pictures of things. We need to advertise our events, or like tomorrow, I'm gonna go to your wife's room. I'm gonna take some pictures of that stuff that they were making. 'Cause I saw them going home today with their plants, with the grass. I want to see, that needs to be put out.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to,
So you're the eyes in the building for Cameron.
yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
eyes. And
Or if we hear about something, like, and I will often do this, something will come to me and I'm right in the middle of something and I don't have time to look into it. So I'll call him and I'll say, hey, can you go check out what's going on with this and that and what happened? Then we'll do that sometimes too. So,
And Jim can suspend people because he has an admin license. but
Right.
It has,
I
where
do,
the
I have.
students wouldn't be able to.
Oh, yeah, no.
mhm,
I could do observations too.
yeah.
Of the two applicants, are they, I know, so they're not totally qualified, but are they qualified to cover a bunch of that? Not-
Mm-mm.
Just fishing.
And I guess that's,
Be like if Barry applied for it.
Yeah. Well, they're teachers.
Who's saying they did?
They're teachers who are still,
brand new.
that haven't even really started the admin licensing program yet. Yeah.
It's a steep road.
That's a steep road, yeah.
And they're like very beginning teachers, like very, like in their first 2 to 3 years
Yeah.
of teaching.
So that, yeah, that would almost be the dean of students deal.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying that was a proposal. I was just trying to get my head
Yeah,
wrapped
yeah.
around
No, I
Right.
understand.
what that third position does in terms of the admin side of it, but.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, Jim and Cameron and I work so well together. We just have each other figured out, you know, we're a good admin team. There's a good division of duties. We all support each other. And I think the way I look at it, and I am not, I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything at all, but I almost think there's a point at which when you add, if Jim's leaving us and it comes down to, we can't find the right person, I would rather just do it with Cameron, because it'd be quicker for the two of us to do it, even though it takes our time, at least the efficiency would be there because we would both know what we're doing. Rather than try to bring somebody on and do it and train them, and you're still gonna have to be there all the time because you're training this other person. I mean, you lose some efficiency there too.
Depends
And
on how much potential they have, though. I
it
mean,
does.
If
I
it's
said-
the right
I
person, it's great.
yeah, I said,
If
if
not,
you,
yeah.
if you don't find the right person,
Yeah.
that's all hinged on that. If we find the right person, okay, then I'm all in.
Full speed ahead, yeah.
Full speed ahead. But I'm trying to think if we don't, that's why we're talking about this and considering this, and we just can't get behind the 8 ball on this one because like I say, we're already working on next year. So just things to think about, things to consider. Maybe after you throw it around in your head a little bit, you'll have more questions. So if you do, please let me know. I'm not saying this is the way I want it to work out, but we have to make a contingency plan in case we can't find a person, because it's very possible that we won't.
Not just a person, the right person.
The right person.
Because I'm in the same boat. I would not be on board for just hiring, oh, this person's qualified, let's just bring him in.
Nope,
If it's
because
not-
that ends up being more work than two of us just doing it, even if it meant that we had to spend a whole lot more time at it. In
Well-
essence, that's easier
And it's
to me.
difficult to get rid of people if you hire or if you make a poor choice.
That's a little of a big concern to me too, for sure. So anyway, I just wanted you guys to know, we don't need to overthink that or talk that, but I put it all in your notes so that you have it, so you kind of know how to run down if you wanted to refer to that again. Okay, so if you want to move on to G, school business policy, just want to let you know that there is a sheet in there that, I'll get to the right page here. It's a spreadsheet, long one, big one, looks like this. It's all the little tiny figures on it. You guys have that? Janet, did you send that to them? I think I saw it. Nope.
What's it under? What heading or maybe?
It would be confidential,
Confidential
I think she called it
negotiations,
confidential. Yeah,
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah.
And
That is the sheet that our negotiators, that represents the salaries. That,
Sorry.
you can't get it, Dan?
oh,
Okay,
he's the IT guy. I just look over his shoulder.
okay, as long as he's willing to share. That's what we came up with, confidential support staff. We're trying to switch from calling confidential to support staff, because that's really a more appropriate description of what they are. The most important thing that you need to look at is the first box on your left is 24-25. That's the current year. Then we have 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28. And at the bottom of those boxes, you'll see cost of increase for the year. So you'll see it goes, cost for this next year will be 58,235, and then for the following year, 30,000, 35,000. Okay, so a little bigger increase this next year than the next 2 years. And that's what your negotiators agreed to with your confidential staff. And The little box down below, kind of by itself, are some little, they were miscellaneous requests from one person. That's fine. You'll see which ones they approved and which one they did not. Yes, yes, and no on that. And
I
anything
would,
else?
I would just add, the, there's an IT position on there that is a jump that may seem staggering the first year, and that's, schooling has been completed that's going to allow us to save, a significant amount of money on our current IT service,
Mhm.
and that's kind of an offsetting.
And days of contract. are what, too?
Yes, and we added 15 days to the contract.
Yeah, and
Two.
we also added one of those.
Yes, and then for the next 2 years after that, significant raise for the next year, then the next 2 years after that, it's a much smaller raise. You can see that too. Anything you wanted to add, Scott or Preston, either, any other comments?
That's about the only one I think I'm allowed to comment on.
Yeah. And just so you know, Preston was not involved in anything that involved any family. In case you were wondering about that.
So just to summarize, the
Yeah.
variability of the rates for 25, 26 is just extra days. What are we doing?
Well, for the most part, their raise, amount of their raise went down.
But the ones that have the bigger rates got more days.
Yeah, there's more days
Yeah.
on.
Gonna be working more days,
Right.
if I remember right.
Cause I see
Right.
8%, 6%, 20%, 10%.
Most of them went down to 3 or 5 for the subsequent years. Okay, so if you guys are okay with that, you need to approve that, and then that will go, Monica will take that, plug that in for budget for this coming up year. And then these guys will be settled for 3 years. This is a 3-year ask they have, so we won't need to talk about salary for them for 3 years.
Except there was one on there, I think, that
Oh, yeah,
wanted to postpone to negotiate. until
He did.
next year.
and well, we can explain about that too. That would be Jubal. And the reason that he didn't ask for any raise for the following 2 years doesn't mean he doesn't want one, but he doesn't know what it will be. He doesn't know what to ask for because he is, and maybe I'll just let you explain, Jubal, but he had, he's getting some extra certification. And he doesn't really know what that will mean or how many days that might, especially how many days that might add to his contract. And it has to do with being able to work on the buses. So that's going to take some more time in the summer. And he just didn't really know where to go with that. He knows he asked for something for next year, but he didn't really know after he got certified what was even fair till he
Well, and
gets
part of
there.
his initial contract had a clause in there
Yeah.
that was not possible.
Not achievable.
Yeah.
So
Certifications through, was it ODE, I believe?
There's some sort of certification
There
to
just
be
was a
completed this
timeline.
year, and realistically,
You have
it's
to
a
be a certified bus driver for at least 1 year before you can even apply to be in a class to become a trainer.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you still have to have like 6 months after that of being
Yeah.
trainee of a trainer. before you can actually become one.
yeah, and we didn't know that when he wrote his
Yeah.
contract. So now we do. So that kind of rendered that null and void. So anyway. So Jubal will be the only one that after next year, when he gets certified to do more bus work and separate training, he will come back and say, all right, let's negotiate for the next couple of years for this and finish that up.
Yeah. I don't know how this deal works.
I know.
Yeah.
We're finding our way through this transportation program. This is our first go at it. So we go, well, okay, that sounds reasonable to me.
hey, we haven't had a single parent come in this year to complain about transportation, so.
And can I just say this, like, when we were canceling all those days or 2-hour delays and stuff, I was really proud of how Jubal did with the staff, the communications we had. We had everybody on speed dial on our phones. We had Desi, Barry, Jubal, Janet, Tracy, me, Cameron, Jim. We had all of us. And we would say, all right. And I was out driving around at 3 o'clock in the morning, checking out roads. Then I told Jubal, we have to have a decision made by 5 a.m. because Janet has to get the robocall out. We had that dialed down and it just worked slick every day, I thought. There were a couple of things, but the only parents that didn't get the message were the ones that didn't have their phones turned on. And they call us, did I miss a call from school? But only a couple.
Yeah,
Not very many.
last minute.
Yeah, that was it. But I thought it worked really well. And I think, well, this isn't bad. We're not doing terrible. Because that was kind of crazy. It was, that weather was nuts there for a while. so.
You're gonna get the call and be like, I've been here for 5 hours for nothing.
Wait in snow. one shovel
I know,
at a
poor
time.
Gary. I
Got a third of the one part.
know, that one day I told Barry, I said, I just wish you could just like not do it. I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
But
it was good, because then I was done by 8 o'clock.
yeah, anyway, yeah. So that was good. But no, that just hit me when I think we're finding our way through this transportation and things are, we're learning some things. We're doing a few things wrong, but for the most part, it's doing well. So are you guys okay with this? If you are, you need to make a motion to approve the work that your negotiators did on their behalf.
Yeah, I think so. The one that was more staggering is offset by the savings from the,
Act Tech.
whatever. what was it called?
Ag Tech.
Ag Tech.
Mhm.
Well, I move to accept, is it a committee recommendation? How do you say that?
Confidential
Confidential.
negotiations.
Yeah, negotiations.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to accept the confidential negotiations for the 25-26 through 27-28 school year. Is that what you said?
I think so.
Perfect. All right. Is there any further discussion?
I looked at Monica, she assures us that we have the money, so I'm okay.
Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
Let the record show.
Yes, okay, it's recorded.
Oh, who was the second?
Mark was.
Mark.
Um,
Yeah, Mark.
all those in favor
I should probably abstain.
Okay.
and one
okay,
abstain. Perfect.
right.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And thank you negotiators for your help in that.
Like I said, I barely could talk about it, so.
I know. Let's see. So.
Funny little thing right up there, isn't it? Everybody's connected.
I know. Okay, so then we move on to the certified staff. The only thing I wanted to tell you there is that they are still in progress. So more on that later, at a later date.
We're still waiting on the lawyer to get back on the contract stuff.
I have information on that. I'll share that with you later. Okay. Legislative update. Oh boy, this is huge. I don't even know where to begin. And Monica, when I'm done sharing my thoughts, if you have anything regarding legislative update stuff, because you and I talk all the time, if I've missed anything or you know anything else you want to chime in, please do so. So the legislative update is kind of crazy because of everything going on at the state and federal level, as you guys know. The state doesn't really know what they're going to do because they don't know what the feds are going to do. And bottom line is, we're probably not going to know until long after our budget season and we have to complete our budget. Like they're telling us late May, early June. They're not even going to know anything. And so I think I'm concerned about the uncertainty of the money issue at this time, but I'm also concerned about all the bills that are just flying through the legislature at this time. Some of them are probably going to cost us money that we can't even predict or know. And that's a concern to me. COSA told us last year, and they're trying really hard to stick to this, but they can't stop a freight train. And they're coming at them like a freight train, the bills. And they said, and had made a commitment, and they are standing by it, that they won't vote to pass anything that doesn't have money attached with it. They want us to do something and they have to give us the money to do it. Because we no longer have enough money to just keep paying for whatever they tell us to do without regard to the cost. So COSA is committed to that, but apparently the legislature is not. They are just passing whatever they want to pass on any given day. So with regard to the last official letter from, or revenue forecast from the governor came out on February 26th, and I think I maybe sent you some information on this before. Some of the pots of money are going up, like, and some of it, in a nutshell, is kind of going down for the 23-25 biennium, but maybe back up a little bit for the 25-27 biennium. So it's kind of a balance, and I think, well, where's that all going to land? They don't really know. the governor still, her suggestion proposal for a state school fund is still standing on 11.36. That's not changed, but there's a whole lot of uncertainty about that figure. Usually she throws that number out there and it goes up a little bit from there. This year, we're hearing it might even go down from there. So we just really don't know at this point in time. They're basically telling us to not panic about the federal situation at this time because they believe that a lot of the changes that have been proposed are actually going to take congressional action. You can't just change that. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. So they're trying to hold steady, although the whole thing, so when you put it all together, and I'm getting this information from COSA, is that even though everything is really uncertain, they feel like Oregon itself, because of all the money that they have, and at the last several of these I've given you guys is, oh, they've got more money than they've ever had before, kind of a thing. They still feel like we are in a well-off enough financial position that we could weather a storm, even a small recession, that we could withstand that as a state. And right here says it's worth repeating that, and I quoted this from someone who gave me this report. It's worth repeating that Oregon is in a very strong position to weather even a significant economic downturn. And that may be true, but I get a little bit nervous when I read like our CAT tax for the 25-27 biennium, which funds the Student Success Act, which is where the SIA Act is. I've got 4 people in that fund. And that makes me a little bit nervous. You know this, Scott, from our conversations in the needs assessment meeting. However, some of the dips that have gone down really aren't a lot. They sound like a lot to me, but they're really not. Like a small dip in revenue. This is the one I'm talking about, the activity tax, gone down 9.5 million compared to December forecast. Well, that sounds like a lot, but in their terms, it's really not that much. So I don't really know, you guys. All I know is it's all over the map. A couple of key points. Again, I just said, they seem to think we have enough money even in reserves, but what's competing for our school money are investments in affordable housing, homeless services, mental health, addiction programs, wildfire fighting, and other critical state services. That's what they put. So that's who's competing for our state fund dollars. They entered something the other day. Monica, tell us about that Medicaid thing.
Yeah, they were saying that with the cuts in Medicaid, that the federal government is wanting to implement, that the legislature could move money away from education. Health.
To pay for that.
What's the likelihood that it would move away from education to ODOT with their $1 billion budget screw up?
Just in Lake County?
What was that?
No, it was the
state?
statewide, but it was $1 billion.
That was an
Billion, okay.
extra billion over top of what their operating
Right.
budget was.
Oh, that was an extra billion.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
somebody tried to slip that in. It was a great idea.
yeah, I don't know. I do not know.
I missed that extra.
That won't affect. Yeah.
Okay.
Extra word, yeah,
They just have to stay within real budget.
yeah. I missed the billion word. I was thinking million. I was thinking like.
No, it was just billion. They
Okay,
were
geez,
floating out there at least.
brother.
Those decimals.
The other key takeaway from Morgan's update was that we need to continue our advocacy in SPED, and they are doing this, to raise the 11% cap, raise the high cost disability reimbursement, and fully funding regional inclusive services and early learning services, because the SPED funding is costing everybody in the state a lot of money and has for a very long time. We've never gotten reimbursed to the degree that we should. And we're not the only district that's in the situation. So that's one thing they're pushing really hard on. And we're talking about raising an 11% cap to a 15% cap. There are some that are talking about taking that cap off altogether. But then the question gets, do they really even have the money to fund that? So where are we going to end up with cap anyway? And what's that going to be? So it's just kind of this circle. And the only other comment was, it says even more than usual, the budget process during the 25 session will be a marathon, not a sprint. Obviously, if they're not going to let us know until June. Legislators are rightfully wary about the significant uncertainty at the federal level as we await potential changes to Medicaid funding, education funding, because they're still talking about disbanding the whole education department at the federal level, as you guys know, and a host of other potential budget impacts. Final decisions on budgets, including the state school fund, are not likely to be made until after the June revenue forecast is released late in May. So, one thing I do think it's important for you guys to know is that nationwide, only 11% of school funds come from the federal government. It's mostly up to states to fund schools. However, correct me if I'm wrong, Monica, that figure to us, that 11% for us is like $212,000. Am I right about that, Monica?
Yeah, so it's a little around 225,000.
Yeah, so that's how much it means
Is
to
that
us.
CTE funding primarily, or?
No, it's, the
Special ed.
ODA, the Title I, Title
Food-
II.
Food service
Oh.
and some transportation
Well, I
money in
never
there.
count the food service. The food service is on top of that.
Yeah.
What, and that does that include the federal force that we didn't get anyways?
No,
No.
these are just grants.
Yeah.
Yeah, the federal forest money is another, we're gonna lose about 100,000 this year on that.
Mhm.
Right.
If it doesn't, if they don't put it back in place, we won't get that.
Yeah,
I don't know what we get from the federal.
yeah. So it's just a little bit very unsettled. I can't think of any other word to describe it other than very unsettled and unstable at this point in time. So anyway, and what Monica and I have talked about, we compare notes every day, what we've heard in our latest meetings. I think our general approach to this is going to be, just be very conservative. We're going to budget very conservatively this next year as much as we can. And that's why I've had conversations with Barry about what are your real high priorities? What must we have for this next year? Because we have put together that maintenance list. That was something we've been working on really all this year. You guys have that chart, that table. So I told Barry here a couple of weeks ago, we had a long conversation about it, and he knows that because he's the one that spends a lot of money and busing too. Put it in what you really must have, what you want the most, what's the highest need, and then go from there. And then we'll just include in the budget whatever we can, go down as far as we have money to spend when we know how much money we have. It's kind of how we're going to do that. Okay. Any questions from anybody about that?
Other than we just want to still make sure we don't fall behind on that, so.
We don't.
it's gonna-
No, we're.
No.
The work plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why we got
That's why we have to.
the cash carryovers.
For sure.
It's for a year that's uncertain. We can still take care of our building.
And that's right. And that's the good position that we're in as well. But I told Barry just to make sure, and it's not that, I don't want to get behind on the maintenance either, but I just want to make sure that the highest priority items get to the top. I don't care what the
Sure.
cost is, but the highest priority items, like the things that can't wait, like that water heater, can't wait. We've got to spend that money now. We have other things that can't wait. We're going to spend that money. So I didn't have anything to do with cost. It's what can't wait. We need to get done.
Yep.
And that kind of separating it out into needs and wants. If there are any just wants on there, well, let's put those back a little bit, but all the needs we want to take care of for sure.
Good.
But if anything can wait until next year, maybe we do it. If we don't, we have money to do it, well, then do it. That's all a decision that we can make in our meetings and budget committee and when we pass budget, how much you want to do that. Because we are in a good solid financial position, our district, that's for sure. Okay, let's see, that page.
For any of the stuff on the maintenance list, it's like a snowplow for the tractor, for example. As a school, are we obligated for like to purchase new or, I mean, is there, we could get some of that stuff and find decent secondhand things.
Should be able to buy even government surplus from other agencies.
Yeah, no, we're not required to buy new.
Government surplus, Barry.
Yeah.
Find yourself a tank.
Yes.
Well, other agencies though, I don't know, and I'm probably wrong, but my understanding was basically on a surplus deal, it's like, okay, we don't want it, but it goes to the government level. If another agency wants it, you can pick it up kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then it goes to auction. I don't know.
I've heard something fairly similar.
Yeah, me too. We can do that.
So maybe there's some,
Have to look into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, Mike Pascal, and all sorts of deals.
Yeah,
Oh.
this place was built on secondhand.
right, exactly. Secondhand sprinkler systems and
Mr. Costello jumped some jello. I think was the
Oh,
weird assembly thing. The 90s.
oh my God.
Moving on. Yeah, moving on.
You guys know I worked with him at Silver Lake, don't you? Before I left here. He was
I-
my,
Yeah,
he
you know,
was my superintendent over there. You remember that?
yeah. I
I liked
remember when you
him.
first came.
He's very nice. man.
Todd, he did a lot of great things.
Yes, he did. He's a very nice man.
Had a few odd things.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to 3 policies. This is another little conversation we need to have. I did a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, and start. Okay, so you guys indicated that you wanted to review policies in further detail because of Spencer Lewis's comments about, yes, you can change language that we didn't know we could change. Remember that conversation? Okay, so in thinking about that, Janet and I today looked at policy BF. It's that first thing that you have there. You know, well, I'm going to mention it, then I'm going to jump back to it here in a second. It's your policy development. It's under the governance section in your packet or in your list of policies online. It's policy development policy, and that's the policy that says procedure you guys are going to follow when you adopt policies. Well, it's very small and very sketchy, and based on how our conversation goes here in a minute, you might want to come back and redo that, okay? Because if you wish to follow a different, if you wish to follow a different procedure, you're gonna have to adopt a new policy to allow you to do that. Does that make sense? Okay. Or you won't be following your own policy when you're adopting your policy. Okay, so we still have, that's one thing. We still have November 24 policies hanging out there that we have not yet approved. That's this big stack right here. This will be 3rd reading for these, okay? These are the ones where we had a bunch of strikeouts and then you guys said, oh, we might want to change some of those. Okay, fine. But I also have,
gentlemen,
fine. You don't like to have policies?
yeah.
Come on. This is the
In your
most,
contract, you're gonna stay.
it's the most exciting part of the meeting yet. And then we have 3, which really is a net of 1 policy in December. So we got by lucky on that. So we have those hanging out there. We need to do 3rd reading on November, 1st reading on the December policy. Now, if you guys, here's my proposal. If you guys really, really want to take a deeper dive into policies and go into them word for word, line for line, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, and really give them the once over. Here are my thoughts. You either need to, number one, you're going to have to change your policy BF if you want to do that. That's not an issue, I don't think. You are going to have to do where it says board's options. Well, let me read you Spencer's comments first. Here's what Spencer said about you guys adopting policies. Let me find his email. Because I have comments from him. Okay, he said, here's what he said. I asked him said you guys wanted to change policies outside of what's bracketed, what we normally change. Can we do that? And he said, OSBA is not a regulatory agency, so districts are not required to adopt our policies. I had no idea about this. Your board has the ability to make changes. If you are not using our language, we recommend having legal counsel review your policies and provide feedback. Many districts choose to use our policies for the majority of their policies to save time and avoid the cost of having an attorney review their amended language. We do designate some of our policies as required policies, which you guys know which ones those are, denoted with an R in the bottom left corner. This indicates a law requires the district to adopt a policy. The laws requiring policy vary widely. Some of them simply state there must be a policy with the content of the policy left up to the board. Others require a policy with very specific regarding contents. what he wrote. We generally place policy language that can be changed without significant legal impacts in the brackets. However, just because something is not in brackets doesn't mean a board cannot legally amend that language. Additionally, even if something is in brackets and can be removed, doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't necessarily mean it isn't something the board is required to do. He said, if there are more specific policies that the board wants additional background on to consider changes, or just because, you're welcome to send questions to me and I can provide that information. That said, I can't do that for every district, for every policy, but I'll do what I can. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any additional questions. And that was from Spencer Lewis, the policy writer at OSBA. So yes, you do have some leeway, more than I ever knew or thought, but it still has to follow the law. And if you start making your own changes outside of what they suggest, then you probably are going to need to run it by council to find out if that's okay. It could be him. Like I said, he can't do all of them, but he can do some. So I'm just going to propose what I think would be a good plan. You guys can chime in on this. So that I don't get hung up with these policies for months at a time and get years behind, my suggestion is do the best you can to amend them to the greatest degree possible without being completely invasive in the language and disregarding everything in here. Adopt them, let me get them on the books. Then you guys can systematically go back and choose the ones that you wish to take a closer look at. But at least I'll have something on the books that's governing what I do while you guys go through them, okay? That's one option. Go to this section right there in the middle that says board options. Here's how you can do that if you want to systematically go through. 3 options. Create a committee of 2 board members, can't be 3. Create a committee of 2 board members to meet, review, and revise your current policies, work with OSBA or your general counsel if you want to pay them, to approve policy revisions, making sure that they're legally compliant, because you do not want to adopt anything that's not legally compliant. You just can't do that. Present to the board for approval at the board meetings. And if you do that, you're going to have to remember to budget. When we budget, make our budgets more additional funds for legal counsel, because if you ever want to go to GHR, they're going to charge you money for that. The other option is meet as an entire board in a series of work sessions, making revisions as you would in A above, or you can allot time at each regularly scheduled board meeting, making revisions together. So 2-person, all board and work sessions, or all board at every school board meeting like this, and just work through the ones you choose systematically. So I recommend that you adopt each batch, so let's call this a batch. I got these all at once. So I recommend that you adopt each batch of policies at the meetings, as has been our practice in forever, so that we have up-to-date policies on hand, and I have stuff that I can use and refer to. Then make a decision whether or not you want to review any of these individually to make any changes. If you do wish to review individual policies and details, then select one of the 3 options I just talked about. If you don't, then just continue the policy adoption process as it is at this time, or suggest a change in how we review and adopt policies in complete batches, because these are presented to us every quarter. You don't have time, you're never going to get through them going through 2 or 3 at a meeting. You won't get, we got 60 policies the last time before I got these. We'll never get through them. It'll take years and years, and we won't. So my issue, or at least a problem that I'm trying to solve here, is it takes me hours and hours and hours and hours to go through this, look at them, pull them up on the screen, compare what we already have, look at the language changes, compare what we already have, make changes based on what we have or what I think you might want, and what's still compliant with the law, present these to you, and then you guys not be happy with that because you still don't like the language change, the changes that I've made, because I stick with the bracket option. I did not have any idea. I've never seen a board or anybody tell me that we had any other options outside of that. So I did not know. But I still have to have policies with which to operate. But what we're doing now is working the way you guys want it to work. And policies review is an important part of your job as a board member. So if you want to do it differently, I'm totally open to that. But we just have to figure out the most efficient way. So what I am suggesting is, if you want to do that, figure out the way you want to do that. And then if you do choose an alternate way, you need to readopt BF. And I'll explain kind of how I rewrote that in a minute. Then you need to decide which method you're going to use. And if you're okay adopting these as a batch and then going through them systematically with which one of the 3 options that you want. And I would then, I'm not going to completely disengage from policy because I darn sure want to know what we're putting in the policies, but I just won't be it's kind of like getting me out of the middle. It will be more between you and the attorney. You can contact the attorney. You can say, hey, what about this? We want to change this to this. Is that legal? Is it not? Is it advisable? Is it not? You could talk to Spencer at OSBA. If you wanted to run it through general counsel, you can do that. You just have to be willing to pay him. And I think maybe that would help you get the job done the way seems like you want to do it. A little more in depth on some of these policies. So if you go back to pull out that policy BF, policy development it's called. The last time it was readopted was 2012. So it's a semi-old policy.
Yeah, I just linked both versions there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
G3 says policy BF, that's our current one. And then you first reading, that's the one she passed out. And
Yeah.
Just
So the current one that we have is this one that's marked up and it's short. Janet and I kind of looked up other policies from other places and kind of put together what we thought reflected what you guys wanted to do and to allow you to do that. And I came up with this revised, I made a revised version of our policy BF. So take a look at that, see if you like it. Some of the changes on that I liked in the first paragraph, I want you to keep this. It said the board accepts the definition of policy set forth by the National School Boards Association. You can't get too far away from what's legal or you're just going to have a big mess on your hands. It also says what your current policy does, that the policy shall be consistent with Oregon revised statutes, Oregon administrative rules, and all federal laws and regulations. That the basic responsibility for initiating, reviewing, and recommending new policies or policy modification will rest with the superintendent. However, new policies or changes in existing policy may be proposed by any board member, group, organization, staff member, whatever. So I'm still going to be involved recommending all of these to you. I'll go through those and do that work. But then if you want to do anything else different than that, I'm just going to kind of leave that up to you guys so that you can custom make that into what you want. It says advice from legal counsel may be appropriate. I can provide any other information that you need. It does say too that a first reading can be approved by unanimous vote without a second reading. That might help us get it through a little quicker. If it's a unanimous vote on a policy, we can go through with one reading and we're done. Okay. So just, oh, and then the last paragraph I thought was important too. It says, this is to kind of protect me and you too, I guess. In cases where action must be taken within the school system and the board has not provided policy to guide administrative action, the superintendent will have the authority to act and their decisions will be subject to board review at the next regular meeting. It will be the superintendent's responsibility to promptly inform the board of such action. So if I get caught that a policy, this is why I want a policy in place. So I always have a policy in place. If you guys come back and change one of these, well, then we change it. But I don't ever want to be left hanging for, all these months without.
But don't we already have these policies?
You have old ones, but you don't have these new ones.
Right.
Okay.
But we
So
have a policy in place.
we have a policy, but when the new ones come out, remember, they reflect changes in the law. So the old ones that we have are probably not in compliance with the law at this point in time.
True, but the law will supersede that policy though.
Right, but I still need to know what I'm dealing with.
Right. I get it.
I mean, that's the thing, because I don't want to be operating on an old policy, Dan, that's not in compliance with the law, then I'm not.
I think our only hangup is on maybe a half a dozen,
Well, true,
guessing.
yeah.
The head lice one, we don't really care, we just
True.
committed the lice. So,
And on those that you don't have any problem with, that's where I like the one and done.
yeah,
thing. If y'all agree,
absolutely.
five up, done, we're in one thing, we're done, that'll help it go faster.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way, what I'm trying to do is figure out a way that we get the policies through, at least first, second reading, get them adopted, or first reading if you're all in favor of it, then you guys can go back and systematically choose which ones do you have an issue with, which ones do you really want to spend more time on. That it's not going to be all of them. I know
Right.
that.
No,
Just a few.
we can just pull
that'll-
out the ones. in committee.
That'll give you a chance to do that. Yeah.
And in your, like, in your first reading or your adoptions and everything too, you can leave, you don't have to adopt the whole stack too, you can leave policies out. Like,
Yeah.
if you have 2 or 3 that are giving you issues,
Correct.
leave those out, adopt all the rest.
Right. And that's kind of what we were starting to do with,
Yeah, but well, that got tough.
and that's what we
and-
did with November, but then they came back and said, oh, we gotta redo that whole stack because somebody screwed up. in the
I know.
Yeah, there's.
So-
lawsuits and-
That's what's been confusing about the whole process. Number one,
Yeah.
the process wasn't defined that we could take this and change these and send it to our lawyer. That would have pulled 2 or 3 of them right off the stack and everything
Correct.
else was good to go.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of the miscommunication about how the process goes, but I'm gonna read the policy, or the motion that I was gonna make. I think it fits right here. So I move to accept all current and future OSBA recommendations and allow the superintendent to choose between optional language offered by OSBA. And I'll just leave it at that. And the board can pull out after the fact. We'll pull out anything that we want.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Which,
Okay, so now that we've got the motion and second, let's go on with the good discussion.
What-
Explain.
What was your motion again?
yeah, I'm
Explain-
gonna hear it
explain
again too, please, Dan.
I move to accept all current and future OSBA recommendations and allow the superintendent to choose between the optional language in those brackets.
Okay, so that's saying you don't want me to bring these to you. I'll just do this and I'll say.
Correct.
Okay,
And then you choose the.
and then you can
and
choose,
the policies.
Because we have to adopt and approve it, correct?
right,
Overall, so you just say, hey, this is the policy as read by OSBA. And then we'll review it. If something stands out, then we'll convene a committee or talk about it or whatever. Now, that reduces that stack greatly.
right. So that policy you have a question about though, then is that going to be approved and then reviewed?
Correct? We can
Okay,
reopen it,
perfect.
right?
So it's
Just
still
like-
on the books, because that's what I was gonna say.
Right.
You could all approve all of them and then you can still pick and choose.
So option 1, I think of your 3 options is what,
Okay.
how we would proceed with that.
Well,
And a large part of this decision on my part is because that article I just handed out about LaSalle's or
Center.
the center, excuse me. And
oh, okay.
essentially they were told by the state that they have no rights to make any decisions on that. And so,
Although that was Washington,
but Oregon follows Washington and California's lead.
True.
because
Yes.
We can't think for ourselves. So it's the same thing. And so I've talked to several people at upper levels of, I guess you could say ODE, not OSBA, but ODE, former superintendents, that kind of stuff. And they basically said, yeah, you have no power over policy adoption. You can make some tweaks here or there, send it to your lawyer, and it may still get ruled out. But, you know, our real power is on curriculum to some extent and hiring, firing superintendent to some extent. And, you know, financial to some extent. So policy is kind of a moot point. However, you know, in the thing with the center one, which was interesting, they weren't trying to remove transgender or anything. They were just trying to change the language so it wasn't so transparent, and they were told. And so you don't have that kind of control,
not so transparent or more transparent.
less transparent, that it was just about transgender. And so it was just an interesting article that I saw, that local program control over policy is non-existent, I guess, to some degree. And so if we went this route, we would speed this process up. If we still have that one on transgender that we have a problem with, maybe we can reword that. I have one on child abuse that I think parents need to have some sort of notification if my kid gets beat up in school by a teacher. I'd kind of like to know. And so those are some of those ones I would like to pull out. 90% I don't have a problem with. Let's get them through.
How
And
do we, if,
she would still give us this packet and say, I've adopted these, this is what's
Here's my
Here,
recommendation.
here are my
In place.
recommendations.
we have to do the final gavel, and then if there's some that we want to pull out of that, we just pull them out.
And to make it fast, if I'm understanding you right, Dan, if we adopted the policy, our BF that said we can do them all in one go with a unanimous vote, then if everybody voted, yep, aye to this, then these are all adopted in one reading, and then you guys could get right to choosing the
Establishing
ones that
policy.
you want to really dive
That
into,
need
correct?
to.
you could even call out some, like, I think you guys are probably thinking, yeah.
I certainly could.
Because the way that we're doing it
Yes.
now with just adopting OSBA recommendations, we're violating BF, policy BF, because we're supposed to be, the specific wording there is
Board has a.
Yeah.
Established policy.
established, yes.
Not-
And so this establishes policy, and then we can go in and modify that policy
Right,
to fit our local concerns, and then BF isn't out of compliance, kind of. There's another statement in there that we get a little bit screwy
The
with,
original or the proposed?
the original.
Okay.
Yeah,
this little short one.
Yeah.
well, we would still be okay, the way I worded this motion, so.
Okay, well, I think that, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's definitely something worth trying, to see how it works. If it doesn't do what you want it to do, we can always try something else. But it would speed it up and it still give you guys then the option to go back and readdress ones that you have particular interest in.
Also, did you say that you manually pull up every policy, like on 2 screens and read through them and
Yes,
try to pick up? So
I have, yeah, I have, pretty much
Um,
have to.
you should talk to somebody. AI can do that for you in about 2 seconds and just show you what's different.
Okay,
And
I'm just
that'll
learning
save
about-
you a
yeah.
lot of time.
okay, well, that'd be nice, because I'm just learning about AI.
20% more next year.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too on the AI thing, COSA has just launched, I believe, an AI program for administrators and everything. It has to do with laws, policies, all of that. It's brand new, so we're gonna subscribe to that. I don't know if they're ready for that yet, but I will do that and I'll learn how to do that.
Yeah.
I would,
But I
anything
guarantee
to save
half of
time.
Our students are using them to write papers, so.
I know that,
Yeah, you
Yes.
can probably.
yes.
Half-
Oh, they can.
Some of
Well,
them figures.
yeah, and I've used it for a few things. I was in a wide open spaces thing
Good.
last year where they showed how to use it for, you put in the things about teacher evaluation and have it right, you put your notes in,
Yeah.
and then it types, kind of types it for you. You have to review it, but, so no, the AI is definitely on my, gonna be part of my. learning curve. No, I'm fine with this unless you guys have any other issue with this. The whole idea is for you to just focus on the ones you want to focus on that you have an issue with and let the rest
Not
go.
the rest.
And I'm not saying board members don't read the policies, we've got to read
No,
the
no.
policies,
You-
but
yeah.
we just want you just to go through, adopt it based on what's best for the district. Give it to us when we read it and go, ooh, no, I don't like this one.
Right.
Pull that sucker out and go back and modify it. It's already been approved, right? We'll
Okay,
approve that
yes.
batch.
Yes,
We'll pull that one out, either a committee or whatever we're gonna decide to do.
that
And
works
just
for me.
move forward.
So is this, the motion that we've got, is that for policies going forward after this group? And we vote on these policies separately because it's,
Well, we'll always have to vote on the group policies.
right,
I'm just giving her the power to just make the decision.
can you repeat that? Because I didn't,
Okay,
Yeah, let me, repeat that again, because I kind of got it, but
that's why I wrote it down. I'd change it 7 times. Accept all current and future OSBA recommendations and allow superintendent to choose between optional language offered by OSBA. I move to accept all current. and
Is that-
Future.
going into policy then, or?
Do you
where
want
does this
something
go?
in there about, the board,
Well,
We're still gonna have to.
with the
Or
board
is
to
that
have?
review it? Yes.
and so I had another, if I can take a break from the Poly Pro for just a second. I had another sentence to that and I didn't know how it fit, but the board may provide a consent vote if required.
Okay, and so when I go through these, I mark them all up. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm asking you to approve all these. You're gonna say, and I will have them marked. You're gonna say, yes, we will. 5 ayes, we're done. Then you can get right to it. If you
Yep.
have any issues with them there, but we will go through them. I will tell you where I think maybe some key points are, some language questions. Because sometimes if
Yep.
I don't really know what to do, or I think it could go either way, or you guys could choose, I'll just say, this is up to you guys. You know,
Sure.
there's really no clear thing.
Before we final vote. on
Yeah,
it.
so I'll give you mine, but so then it's not, you're not just gonna put aside and see, you're gonna look at them, but you're gonna do that and then go back to at the ones you want. I think that sounds like a much more efficient way to do it to me.
Okay, read that one more time. I forgot to accept all current and future OSB recommendations and allow the superintendent
To choose
to choose
between optional, among.
between bracketed language.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Guess it would be one or the other. Offered by OSBA.
Okay, so that motion has been,
Do you want the other part on the vote?
And then I have the board may provide consent vote if required.
Thanks.
And I would, and reserves the right to further review any.
I would put that in there too, just so
Yeah.
that the community member reads that, they don't just think, oh, the board's not even looking at policy. They're
Yes.
just letting the superintendent adopt.
Yes.
whatever they want.
We don't want them to think that.
does that match your second still? Good. So it's been moved and seconded, and I'm not gonna repeat that because it's been hashed and I can't do it word for
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, screw her up.
I don't think there's any further
Okay,
discussion. Mark, all those in favor? Motion carries. So, speed up the policy process.
I'm excited. Okay, so now, before we get off of policies, we have to go back to you guys okay with the BF policy?
Current BF,
Do we need to change that again based on what on Dan's motion though?
I think we're
We
okay
think-
as long as we're giving the consent vote for the
Yeah.
packet. And then we still have the right to review and change. We're still establishing policy.
Yeah, they're just.
That's the word that they used was established.
So
Right.
what was the final with everything in it, the way that that motion read?
So, okay, motion by Jan, seconded by Mark to accept all current and future OSBA recommendations and allow the superintendent to choose between bracketed language offered by OSBA. The board may provide consent vote if required and reserves the right to further review any adopted policy.
I think that about covers it. Okay, so the way so then Janet, in your opinion too, with that in mind, the way we revise policy BF, that still work, that is gonna be,
I don't think you need to revise.
I wouldn't.
you wanna just keep it the way it
Yeah,
was
I
then?
think you can keep it
Okay.
the way it is.
The only part was that second part, but I'll look at it again, but I don't.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so then,
We're still okay.
all right. Keep old one, okay, keep old. Yeah. Okay, so now that takes us then, to get through those things, we still need to go back and
Approve that.
adopt this one and the December one, which is really only one policy, okay? So do you guys want to,
I'll move that we adopt the November 2024 policies as presented.
I'm waiting 4 months to say that.
Second.
Well, to accept this, what, third reading and adoption,
yes,
where we're at. yeah.
of November 2024?
November 2024.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the third reading and adoption of the November 2024 policy. Further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Okay,
So
then
now we'd look at pulling out the ones we had an issue with
yes.
and creating a committee or something to.
Yes, so I can go ahead, what I will do though, is I will go ahead and submit all of these to OSBA. Because I have to then, I think I have already done it, go in and now like retype these. Like take the old policy, change, make all the changes, edits, then I send them to OSBA and then they add them to our online library. They take out the old, put the new in. So I will do that, but then if you choose to go back and redo them, then we just redo that all over again.
Just as a couple.
Just,
Yep,
yeah,
just a couple that you're gonna do, pull them out and then we'll just resubmit them. But until then, we'll have new current policy on the books.
We're gonna do December too.
Yes,
Right.
December was 3 policies. If you looked at those, let's see, I have them somewhere.
And that's it, right? That was this only
Yep, yep,
batch so far.
Yep.
You got more coming, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
well,
Usually they do it in April.
they're in session right now, so you're.
Well, yeah, they, for sure. Okay, so the December policies, there were 3.
Just for-
2 of them are opposites, so they're the same policy, just in opposite parts. And the GCAA, the one in the middle, Standards for Competent and Ethical Performance of Oregon Educators, that was optional. Usually we don't adopt optional policies, so I just took that one out. Okay, so the GBNAA/JHFF and the opposite one, we do have both of those on file, so there really wasn't a whole lot in there to change, to be honest with you. But it had to do with suspected sexual conduct with students and reporting requirements. So I went through and I just made the same really changes that we had. There wasn't a whole bunch here. Left out the GCAA. I don't even really understand why they changed it to begin with, to be honest with you.
Well, and we'd already looked at those in November too.
I think so, because there are 2 or 3 policies on sexual conduct one, so I never know. I didn't look and see.
No,
But
the
it
same
took-
ones.
Just took out the line that said, students are also subject to this policy if they are acting as an employee, contractor, agent, or volunteer. They just, rather than saying all that, they just put and students in there. And they also, the other reason that they changed this was this law still applies. It used to be if you were out of high school 90 days, you had like a 90-day window. Now they have a 1-year window in order to file any type of a lawsuit or anything. So they've given them a year to file instead of 90 days. And yeah, and that was really the only change in both of those. So,
I move to accept December's policies.
Second.
Moved and second, moved and seconded to accept, I believe, the second reading of December,
no, first.
first reading.
Yeah.
And potential adoption of December policies.
So with unanimous consent, we can now
Adopt.
You can adopt.
Yeah, you can, with unanimous
That's what I was
You
consent.
guys did look at them, because I gave them to you previously, yeah.
We just didn't talk
We
about it
just
at a
didn't talk
meeting.
about 'em, no.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Policies are adopted.
Who voted, who was first and second? On that,
That was.
Dan.
Dan.
Dan and Preston.
thank you. Got it.
felt like progress.
Doesn't it?
That
I
was-
love getting those off.
Feels like 150 pages of progress.
Probably is. Okay. That goes over there. All right, we're getting to the end, you guys. Now, just have a reminder there, school board elections, we still have positions 3 and 4. I don't know if anybody's filed or not, but I just put this in as an extra in case you know of anybody, you're talking to anybody, a link to the SEL 190 form there to file with the county elections official. It's just in case if anybody needs it again. You go over to 5, the memorandum of agreement with, did you have questions, Scott?
No, I was just reading.
Okay, Lake County Behavioral Safety Assessment Team, I attached that. It's an MOU that I was sent by Daniel Tagg. He is, and it was sent to a bunch of agencies in the county, as you can see. ESD, Sheriff's Office, State Police, Outback Strong, Department of Human Services, the Juvenile District Attorney, and all the school districts in the county. Now, what he is proposing, and I know you've read all of this, so I don't need to go all over again, but the Behavior Safety Assessment Team is going to meet on a monthly basis as needed to consult on cases that have been through the process. Each member agrees to participate in the monthly meetings and be available for an emergency meeting if deemed necessary. I have participated on, we used to call this MDT, multidisciplinary team. We had a team just like this in Harney County that went for years while I worked over there. And once a month, we'd all get together, we meet, we talk about kids, cases, families. It's kind of like wraparound services for families where you kind of put your heads together and say, all right, where's this person? How are they doing? What do they need? Who can help them? How can we help them in school, in the community, whatever, whoever had information about that. And I kind of think this is what he has in mind. This is what it sounds like to me. And I found it very valuable. So I am going to recommend to you that we do participate in this and that you accept this memorandum of agreement. Doesn't cost us any money. It's just an agreement to participate in this group. Basically. You guys are okay with that. So I'm saying yes, but you need to approve it. And then Scott, you would sign for North Lake School District, I think.
And who's our North Lake representative?
It would be me or maybe Cameron, because it says if you can't go, you need to send somebody in your place. So it'd be probably.
And
me.
it is an in-person meeting? Driving to Lakeview?
No, it better be Zoom or I won't be able to get there all the time either. I'm sure that they'll probably meet by Zoom because they got people coming from all over. We don't have it. None of us have that kind of time.
Okay.
So,
Automatic renewal, I see.
yes.
Unless otherwise modified.
So you need a approval of that? or-
Yes. Anytime we're entering into a memorandum of agreement or understanding, yes, I do.
So I'll move that we go into a memorandum of agreement, Lake County Behavioral Safety Assessment Team.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into the memorandum of agreement with the Lake County Behavioral Safety Assessment Team. Further discussion? Comments? All those in favor?
Perfect. Thank you.
Motion carries.
All right. I think that was it for me. Yeah, that's it. Does anybody has any questions? Anything you want us? Oh, wait, we have one. We have to go back to the unfinished business, Scott, because we have superintendent evaluation tool, second reading and adoption on that. Because remember, that was a policy in itself.
So we could have also, but we didn't have any of those because you. So what no.
So,
Which was
yes.
adopting this as a part tool.
You had your first reading last meeting.
We did.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt the new superintendent evaluation tool as presented. Second.
Second reading and adoption.
Second reading and adoption. So second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded, still seconded, for the second reading and adoption of the new superintendent tool as presented. Any further questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. All right, so now we get to move into executive session. I'm going to call a recess. We will do that for about 5 minutes and then we will convene and do that.
Hey, Dan, thanks for this and the good idea. I like that.
I want
I
hot
think
lights
that's gonna
during
work well.
recess, so.
It's
I'll
definitely
turn it
something to
off.
try. I like it.
Don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Wait here with this.
Yeah.
Show up with things to chicken.
Well, it seemed like the,
I know.
first time. since-
Yeah?
Real deep.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, recess into the fair.
Excuse me. You got the extra crispy.
And then just like, remember to read the, like, the whole ORS little thing to review and evaluate.
I need to do that now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Nothing away. Do you
let's
have
get
it?
down to, agenda here. All right. Zoom back from our recess. At this time, we shall go into executive session under ORS 192.6602I to review and evaluate the employee-related performance of the superintendent or any public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing.
Oh my gosh, this is not gonna look that great, but
Looks great.
we'll do that.
Oh, it's good. It's really good.
Okay.
All right, so we're back from executive session. On to questions and comments, future agenda items. Next time.
Well, what we talked about, future agenda item, the contract renewal
Contract renewal and salary
and salary.
for superintendent. Yes. Anything else comes to mind?
We also need to direct the superintendent to post
Janet.
his evaluation in her
Yeah,
file.
Janet, Barry said he already made all the phone calls.
Okay, yep.
Say that again.
We need to direct you to place your evaluation in your file.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's in the minutes.
All right.
Because if we don't tell you to do that.
What's in the
it may not
minutes?
happen.
Direct the superintendent to place the evaluation into her personnel file.
I will put that in.
Thank you. Any other future agenda items you guys can think of? It's April. May, June. Yeah, do anything traditionally that we need to be doing in April?
We may have policies that get pulled out of there, so how we're gonna deal with that. So maybe policy management.
Yeah, because we'll need to come up with a plan of how we're going to identify what we're going to do. with that.
Committee or full group.
Okay.
Yep. God, it feels like that was yesterday we talked about that.
Policy management, you said?
Yes.
Get rid of about 40 minutes.
We're gonna be in the budget by then too.
We are. Yep. When is the first budget meeting
21st, I think,
of this month?
I think,
April.
is it 21st or the 28th?
I thought it was 21st, but
Check, because that would be like the week after.
I know it's getting tight.
Tend to do those.
We don't take Easter Monday off.
That's a no.
Such thing.
It's on my calendar. It says Easter Monday. So, all right, anything else, guys?
So when is the next meeting's,
The 14th. FFA banquets on the 7th, 6 p.m. I do know. And that's it. Good. We'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you guys.
Job, Scott.
Yeah.
Job, Preston, your recording skills.
Preston, thank you for being the reporter.
You didn't really think it was gonna be that much, did you?
Can't wait to see that nice handwriting and spelling.
All right.
I am
I gotta
a
sign
really-
this.
smaller by the end of the night.
I'm a really good typer.
Well, if you want- I would say if you want to pop back up tomorrow or next day, I think we can wait. Can we wait? See if to sign all
I
these
send a lot of
contracts
emails.
tonight?
I
Or
do a lot of
we
handwritten.
need to
stuff.
sign
Isn't that the
tonight?
hard thing anymore?
I can type it way faster.
I don't want to place them in their boxes.
All right, I'll get it done. See you guys. Have fun at home. I might make it by, I don't know, another hour or so.
Just stand.
I need to stand.
Preston, don't go anywhere.
Got a little bit to do.
Yes.
It looks like it.
Oh, sure, thank you.
Okay.
Um,
Clean up this shit and that
oh, this is-
Is there any, yeah,
problem.
Oh, that's right, we got it.
January, you want
We're
to
gonna talk about contracts.
Want them on that card?
So.
Take yourself all right?